last night, Tuesday, April 2nd. Was it April 1st? Tuesday, April 1st. April 2nd? April, what's today's date? It's April 1st. Tuesday, April 1st.
It was April Fool's. It was
April Fool's Day. I was
Day.
too many jokes. I couldn't tell. But Steph Curry's performance was no joke. 52 points, 10 boards, 8 assists, drained 12 threes. Thought he was going for the record, had 8 in the first half. Really close game, though. I think they only beat the Grizzlies by 7. And it felt like a playoff game. Both teams needed it. The Warriors needed to move up in the standings to get the season series against Memphis. This is that playoff version of the Warriors that we talked about. And this is why Siri, not you. I said playoff series, not Siri. But this is what we talked about with that Warriors team and why you don't want to see Steph Curry in a playoff type situation, in a game 7 type situation. Jimmy Butler had a quiet 27 points somehow. They didn't even have Jonathan Kuminga in that game. So did this game tell you more about what we'll see from Golden State in the playoffs or what we should be worried about with Memphis in the playoffs?
I think that this game was the exact scenario that played out from what we talked about on Soundsystem last week. There are a lot of these young, talented teams that are, I don't know if we can call the Grizzlies ahead of schedule at this point. I mean, they're pretty on schedule considering they were 2 seed 2 years ago and been trying to stay afloat and get over the hump since then. But like, you're going to run into these more experienced playoff performers, guys like LeBron, guys like Steph, guys like Jokic. Like, that's just the way that the West is shaping out right now. Like, you have these young teams that have a bunch of young, exciting players that are rising stars, budding stars, all these things, and the teams are playing well. But then there's like the other cohort of players in the West that are these experienced players that have been here before and have played hundreds of playoff games. And, last week we spent an entire segment talking about like tough matchups for the Rockets, tough matchups for the Grizzlies, and how that would shake out in the first round of the playoffs. And, as we start to see, like I was just saying, teams start to treat these April games as tune-ups for the postseason. You see Steph go 52 and he knocks down 11 threes or 12 threes.
12 threes, yeah.
And, it's one of those out-of-body performances that, like, there's nothing you can do about it. They're inevitable at this point. We've seen him do it a bunch of times. He's going to do it in the playoffs. And to your point, that's exactly why you don't want to see the Warriors in the first round, because no matter how much you game plan for him, Steph is still going to get his, and he's still going to have nights where he just goes nuclear and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because and you and I are both fortunate in having League Pass and having the ability to just go watch games. Checking the scores, you see Steph has hit 6, 7 threes in the first half. And I changed it to that game when he had 7 threes in the first half. Saw him hit 3-pointer number 8 right before halftime at 32 going into the break. And coming out of the break, he hit 2 more pretty quickly in the third quarter. And just watching Memphis, no help, face guard the entire second half. And he still found a way to hit 2 more after that. But how that just opens up so much for the rest of the offense. Seeing basically you got, 35, 40 feet to play 4-on-3 a lot of times, because the way that the Grizzlies were hard hedging ball screens and just, trying to get the ball out of Steph Curry's hands is really wild to see that this guy at 37 years old commands that much attention. And it's not like he's got, bums around him. There's Jimmy Butler, there's Draymond Green, Quentin Post has been stepping up and making plays. These guys that can go and make plays and do things in these circumstances and situations, we're not going to count on Steph having that type of shooting night every game. But the fact that he's a threat to do that at any point in time, nothing that nobody doesn't know already. But, that is kind of just the thing. And before we go to the other game from last night, I posed this question. It's something maybe just to think about. I saw it on Twitter. I forgot who posted it. But they were saying, we talk so much about Steph being the best shooter of all time. Undisputed fact. But when you think about in the entire span, the realm of sports, there's a real argument to be made that Steph's shooting ability is the greatest ability of any specialist that we've seen in any sport, whether it's Serena's backhand or, whatever it is. Steph's 3-point shooting might be the best thing we've seen in sport. I'm not saying that it is, but it might be.
Now you have my brain going, because I'm like, is there something that is even comparable to that one specific skill? Like, all right, this is an NBA Canada podcast. Like, there's probably some sort of move that Wayne Gretzky had that I don't know about that made him as dominant as he did. Like, that's one of the first things in my mind went to, because when it comes to like all time insane sports stats. Like you can look at all the records that Steph Curry has, but like the fact that you could, I think it's you could subtract his goals and he would still be the all-time points leader in NHL history or something like that. Yeah. He must have had something going on where he had like a trick shot or something that is maybe comparable to Steph shooting. I don't know it off the top of my head. I don't know hockey well enough. Like I'm trying to think Barry Bonds comes to mind in baseball, but like that's, he's swinging the bat the same way that everybody else is. Well, clearly not the same way that everybody else is, right. But in a similar way that everybody else is. Like, it would actually almost have to be like a more like individual, I would think like a more individual sport.
Like something Tiger did or something Serena did or something like Simone Biles. I don't know, but it's up there. The fact that it's even a conversation.
I don't know who else I would even, the fact that there's nobody coming to my mind immediately that I can even think of another individually unique skill. It feels like Steph his shooting ability is head and shoulders above what anybody's ever been able to do in any sport at any level.
Yeah, that's 4,000 threes. I don't know if anybody else is going to ever touch 4K. Maybe the way the game is trending, maybe down the line. But 4K, he's going to have such a big gap over whoever's second whenever he's done. And also, I think with that game, he surpassed LeBron James for the most 50-point games in league history. I think that was number 15 for him, I want to say. So Steph is up there as well. As always, thanks to everybody who tunes in to the pod, wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe on all podcast platforms, as well as follow us on YouTube and Instagram at NBA Sound System Canada. For Kyle Irving, my name is Gil McGregor. Thanks for tuning in to us this week. We will catch you back on here, same time, same place next week.